things are heating up here at the BHB.
Oh,
And starting to get eggs. It's
super exciting.
It's really cool. And it kind of made me think about the past when I really started. I've told the story a million times that my first snake was really a Burmese python.
Yeah.
Then I got a ball python. Then I actually got a boa. So those were my first 3 snakes. But then I really became a colubrid guy: corn snakes, king snakes, milk snakes, stuff like that. And I think the reason I did that was twofold. Number one, I could fit more animals in a smaller area.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And there was so much variety. And I think maybe the other thing is that we knew that, primarily boas and pythons take longer to get to age.
Right.
And I wanted to produce snakes. You know what I mean? I wanted to.
You were like, you're eager. You know?
So I bought a lot of colubrids. I think that when I started out with the 3 snakes, I think that I lived in my mom's basement, right? Typical,
typical snake breeder.
Yeah, typical snake breeder basement guy.
Yeah,
living in my mama's basement. But of course I was 15, so don't
give me a break.
Yeah, give me a little bit of a break. But I had probably about 10 or 12 snakes in my bedroom before I moved into like the rest of the basement, And what it first started was I built a room, probably not much bigger than this room here, to be honest with you. And there was like one row of like, again, there was no manufactured cages back then. So there was like one cage of like wooden cages that were for the bigger snakes that I was going to keep: Burmese pythons and stuff like that, Dumeril's, boas, and so on. And then beyond that, I had like shoebox and sweater box racks. Now, of course, back then there was lids to them.
Really?
So yeah, you didn't have like a drawer that didn't have a lid. You actually had a box with a lid that slid into a slot.
Oh, okay.
Because no one had come up with the
perfect size,
ingenious thought of making a one without. As a matter of fact, what ultimately happened, I was thinking about with the podcast moving forward. Trying to reach out to some of the old timers to get them on.
So cool.
As a matter of fact, I did reach out to Bill Brandt today, who ran the Gourmet Rodent. Of course, they supply all of Petco with all of their animals. So Bill basically took, he was old timer back in the 60s, probably late 60s, early 70s, working with snakes, and he really wrote the book on a lot of things. I mean, like, he was the first person to mass produce leopard geckos. He was the first person to learn to cycle reptiles a different way, and what I mean by that is instead of just one cycle a year, he would these colubrids hibernate October through November, and they come up, and when they come up, the group that their breeding goes down into a
like different colonies.
Yeah, and he would do 3 or 4 or 5 colonies a year.
Wow.
So he was hatching colubrids and leopard geckos and other animals year round. So because of course Petco doesn't just need animals through the summer, they need them year round. And of course the last thing you want to do is, from a business standpoint, is produce in June and then have to keep those animals all the way till the following June because your profit margin goes down so much because you're feeding year round, And so he really came up with so much innovation. And then about 5 years or so ago, he sold the Gourmet Rodent to a guy named Mike Lehman, who was his manager that managed the Gourmet Rodent. And but Bill was the one that grew it from nothing, it was just him and his wife Marcia, to, I think when Bill sold, they had about 80 employees or 90 employees in a pretty massive facility too. Giant facility. So anyways, point is that I talked to Bill today via text. He's just a very, he's a great thinker, right? He's not just a reptile guy. He was always a reptile guy, but he was a great thinker, and he really changed the game. He was, probably top, again, people don't know who Bill Brandt is, but he was probably top 5 most influential people in the reptile world over the last 25 years.
That's insane.
And but he could walk around Tinley Park and no one would know who he is, which I find interesting. So I text with Bill. Now, again, Bill's a little bit older, probably in his early 70s. And I texted him this morning and said, "Hey, Bill, first off, are you traveling right now? And second off, would you want to come up and do the podcast?" And so, he responded really quickly, like he always does, because the thing I loved about Bill was he always talked about. He said, "I'm not in the reptile business. I'm in the relationship business."
I love that. Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. So he was really great, always about responding to me, even when he was the busiest person on the planet, because he was so busy. Yet he always was was such a mentor to me. And so he responded pretty quickly, and he just said, "I'm not traveling right now." He said, "Since COVID, I've not gone anywhere at all." And he said, "I don't know when I'm going to start traveling again." He said, "But when I do, I would love to come up."
That's so cool.
So I think that it'll be a really good one. And so now I'm kind of going through my address book, so to speak, and trying to think of the people I can maybe get on that aren't the normal people that you see on MJ's or any of the other people.
Dude.
So let's hit a couple. We just have a couple super chats. Like I said, if you guys have some questions, hit me up in the super chats. We'll hit a couple right now. We just have a couple, and then we'll keep on rolling. Again, you guys, make the ship go.
Clistia says, "Hello, Brian and Jay. Hope all is well."
Hey, Clistia, I appreciate you. I know that we had a lot of fun with you on Wednesday.
Hell yeah.
So you're great. I appreciate you.
And then Sammy Young says, off topic a bit, but will you ever have a paranormal podcast?
Yeah, so we had the Motor City Paranormal Group on the podcast once. You can go back in the podcast. It was called Been Wondering. That was what originally Saturday nights were supposed to be what we were going to be called Been Wondering. So essentially you had, Wednesday you had checking in, which was the family, then Noah was Thursday, Friday-ish, which was going to be choices, and then Been Wondering was supposed to be Saturday night, which was me, my curiosity of the world, really, and wanting to know things about all kinds of things, whether it's science, whether it's paranormal, whether religion. We had obviously Brother Clint on, who's an exorcist minister. So that was the original plan, and then of course COVID kind of really it was hard to get in-person guests. People weren't traveling as much, so ultimately that's where Snake Talk kind of was birthed,
right.
and it was just kind of like a solo podcast of me talking about reptiles, answering your guys' questions in the super chats, and just kind of having fun. And so, but I want to get back to some of that Been Wondering stuff for sure.
Agree.
I think that's something I want to do. We're just talking about it today, and like I said, so I think what's going to happen, and this is just, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think that we will do some solo Snake Talk type podcasts similar to this, where maybe once or twice a month or whatever the number is.
Right.
We'll just, it's really about me being able to have a conversation with you guys and answering your questions and letting you run the narrative of the podcast. And then we'll probably have one or two or three or whatever the case may be, where we have, say we have 3 guests a month, maybe 2 of those guests are going to be reptile guests. Like I was talking, I'm going kind of through my address book and thinking of some of the people that are the players that were very crucial to the growth of the reptile hobby, but maybe now are outside the reptile hobby, or are still players, but people don't really know about them and have never heard about them. Because, I think MJ does a really good job of diversifying his guests for sure. Yeah. And he's probably one of the most prolific of it, because I don't know how many podcasts he does a week.
He does a lot.
But I know he has like Trap Talk, and then he has multiple things. And then, but we're all kind of, have some constraints right now about like who we want. And of course MJ does mainly Zoom call type stuff, StreamYard stuff. We want to have in-person guests if at all possible, because I think it's just a better podcast,
better atmosphere.
So hopefully, as the summer goes on and stuff like that, we can do a little bit more of bringing people in. What do we have?
Absolutely. Future Reptarium employee says,
yeah.
"What's up, guys? Brian, Reptile Army merch is insane, and I'm having a hard time picking which one to buy today. I'm stuck on the Monroe or the Monitor Lisa.
Oh, those are too good.
Also, my teeth fillings are all good."
Ah, good. I'm glad that you are good. It's awesome. Thank you so much. And those are good ones.
I agree.
Those are good ones. We have a couple bangers coming out next month too, that I really like, and we have a couple. Obviously, we're going to just keep on pushing. Obviously, Reptile Army to me is it's a really big project for me personally.
Yeah.
Whether or not it turns into a huge success or not, I don't know, because the way I look at Reptile Army is that it's an opportunity to grow a community that isn't necessarily Brian Barczyk's community.
Right.
It's a Reptile Army community. Yeah, maybe the Reptile Army will be based in our following, but at the same time, I want the Reptile Army to be people that don't even know who I am and that just want to wear a Monitor Lisa shirt, and when someone sees it, they go, "What the heck? That is so cool! Where'd you get that shirt?"
Yeah.
And then they could be like, "Oh, well, I happen to keep reptiles." Blah 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 blah. And then ultimately, obviously, some of the proceeds go to USARK. Other proceeds may go to other charities. It may go to just expanding the educational outreach that we work on. I can assure you, none of this money is going to go into buying me a Rolex. I can assure you guys that. But so it's a pet project of mine that I shouldn't even say a pet project. It's a very important project of mine. Yeah. And up until now, really the only really reptile clothing brand or apparel brand has been EcoWear, right? Yeah. And EcoWear is great. Don't get me wrong, but EcoWear is very forward. It's a leopard gecko. It's not a cute shirt. Unless you want a cute leopard gecko on your shirt.
Yeah, it's literal.
Yeah, it's very literal. And it's really, EcoWear is really primarily, the majority of their sales go to national parks.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
When you go to a national park and you go into the gift shop, oftentimes the shirts and hats you see are EcoWear.
Okay, that makes sense. I've seen them before.
So they're more suited for that type of an audience. So there's really no other, and that doesn't mean that other people don't have merch. Of course, people have merch. I've had merch for years, and everyone has merch that does things. But there hasn't been like a reptile apparel brand, other than EcoWear. And I wanted to, because you guys know I like to wear silly shirts. And I like to wear goofy things. It fits my brand very well, and so hopefully, the launch was great. We had a really good first week, as good as I could have expected. But now the question is the longevity. Can this build to something where it's not just like a merch drop,
right?
Where like, all right, the 150 people that wanted to buy merch bought the merch, and now they don't. They maybe next month they might buy more, but that's it. What it really comes down to is the movement has to go from 150 or 200 people that are buying merch to thousands of people that are buying merch because they believe in this like cool movement.
And that comes down to a lot of our fans too, right? Them wearing the stuff and actually going out and talking about it and being that front line to people about, hey, this is cool. This is reptile stuff. And the way that me and Brian talked about it is like, you see dog and cat people, they have cool, cute shirts.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that you see it and you're like, oh, like I love my grand dog or whatever,
Yeah.
This is that for reptiles. So now it like takes the sensitivity down from everybody. They get desensitized to these animals,
Yeah, and that's the goal of this whole thing, and hopefully it goes well. It's something we've worked a long time on. Longer than any other merch type drop because this was an apparel line. It isn't just hey, buy a shirt or a hoodie.
We went through the designs with everybody. We did all the text, everything.
It took a lot of energy to get to where we are now, and again, to get ourselves in a position where next month we can add 10 more designs or more, and then every month continuing to add. So thank you, and I think you'll like the stuff that's coming up soon as well. So it's good stuff.
Josh Vanellen, our boy.
Hey, Josh, what's up, man?
He says, how's it going, guys? Been a minute since I caught a live stream. Looking forward to getting our babies ID'd.
Yeah, so Josh is going to probably, and when I say probably, I just want to make sure that tomorrow, I know I have a tour between 1 and 2 tomorrow.
Okay.
And then, of course, before that, we're going to be filming the vlog. So the question is Josh wants to bring up some babies that he hatched out, which, by the way, congratulations, Josh.
Congrats, Josh. That's awesome.
It's awesome that he
hatched
out
pythons?
ball pythons. And they're really dope ones, really good, but it's one of those things where it's like in pictures, it's almost impossible to ID.
Yeah.
And even in person, it's sometimes hard to ID, to be quite frankly. If you know the pairing, which he does, it helps, and you can have a very, very educated guess. And I typically take the kind of task where I ID things to what I know it is, not what I think it is.
Yeah,
right?
if there's a think, you leave it out, right?
Yeah, so if it's a potentially a 4-gene animal, but I can really see 3 genes, I'm going to say it's a 3-gene animal with the potential for the 4th gene. But I don't like when people say, oh, there's 4 genes in there, and then in actuality, then you raise it up, you breed it, and the 4th gene isn't actually in there.
Right.
So anyway, so Josh's going to come up and hang out, and we'll ID those snakes. Josh probably after 2.
Perfect.
It's probably the timing that's going to work for us. After 2:15, let's say, because my tours usually go 15 minutes or so long. So, but we'll look forward to seeing you, Josh.
V-Dog says, what was your favorite egg cutting and why?
Whew,
That's a hard one.
it's a tough one because, every egg cutting is so different, I think the ones that you get a surprise in is probably the ones that really leave you, with the memory, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that, when you get like the albino twins that we got 2 years in a row.
Mystery clutch.
The mystery clutch when we're cutting that, and every egg is like, what is this? I did not expect this to happen.
Super Lord Leopards was cool.
Yeah, the Super Lord Leopards. The list goes on and on. Really, it's almost impossible to pick. Just like when someone says, what's your favorite snake or what's your favorite reptile? There's so many different levels, you know what I mean? And I can't wait to get to egg cutting. We just put the 14th clutch in the incubator today.
Which is awesome, man.
So and the thing that's great is that means that we're still not even 10% to the way.
I know. There's 100 left, right?
Yeah, there's probably 150 clutches, 145 clutches left to be laid.
That's so nuts.
And that means that there's going to be, 150, 160 clutches to cut too. Now, we made the decision, interestingly enough, that we probably will not cut all those clutches on the vlog.
Right.
We may cut all those clutches and film them,
yeah,
but we're probably not going to have 150 clutches on the vlog. We did it last year where we had 162 clutches, I believe, last year. And I think we had 145 clutches or something like that. And I think what's interesting is that, like, people just get desensitized to it, and they're kind of like, all right,
after a few weeks, they're like, all right, how many times you got to cut an egg, mister?
Yeah. So we're, number one, we've talked a lot about how we can, for those of you guys that haven't noticed, the vlog is structured a little bit different over the last few weeks, where we're a lot more fast paced. We often talk about, if we have a 3-minute segment, we now make that into a 1.5-minute segment, trying to cover the same thing we would have covered in 3 minutes, but now covering it in a 1.5 minutes.
Cut the fat.
Cut all the fat out. And then, so with the egg cutting, oftentimes a typical clutch would be anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, depending on how many eggs.
So we're going to try to, reduce that down to 2.5 to 3 minutes for a clutch, which is going to be challenging. We're going to have to work on how to do that.
The format's really going to be what we need to work on.
And we'll probably, maybe we will cut all 150, 160 clutches on the vlog, or a film, but we may pick 50, 60 clutches to actually show.
And I wonder, do you think I don't know if it's possible. I've just seen other people do it, so we'll just talk about it real quick. But to do something like with Patreon or something like that, or Joiner on YouTube, where it's if people wanted to see the other clutches, we could do that. I don't know, just food for thought.
It's not a bad thing. There's members on YouTube, so we could always put out member videos just for members or something like that. Yeah, it's something to think about. I don't know the answer. I guess that's something that you guys can decide.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
because what basically happens is that everything we do is really, weirdly enough, you may think we make all the decisions, but we really make the decisions based on your reactions.
Yep.
If the views are good, then we do more of it. If the views are bad, we do less of it. If the podcast does this, then we do this. Even like with the Saturday nights. If you guys super chat, we're going to be here for 2.5 hours. If you guys don't super chat, we're going to be here for an hour. It's
driven by you guys.
Yeah. Everything is driven by you guys, and so we'll wait to see how it goes.
Ray says, hey guys, super glad I caught the podcast. I've been struggling hard with depression, and watching y'all always helps. Brian, what snake would you recommend that has a similar look to a cowrie tick? I'm in Florida. So
first off, I hope that your depression gets better. I know mental health is something that I'm obviously very passionate about. It's been a very, storied, thing that I've struggled with anxiety over the last 14 months. Definitely getting better, much, much, much better. I'm still not 100% there. I still have a little bit of issues here and there that creep up on me. Not going to lie, this Monday I get, my second vaccine, and I'm a little bit nervous about the reaction to that. And it's funny, speaking of, I'm just going to get off topic for 1 second.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how vitriolic people were about me getting vaccinated. I would like to see everyone vaccinated because, for one reason, I think that's the quickest way for us to get back to normal.
Right.
I wish we didn't have to get vaccinated. I wish I didn't have to get vaccinated. Of course.
Duh.
But we are in a global pandemic, and you can argue all kinds of things about, did the government do the right thing by shutting things down? Did they do the right things about masks? Did they do the right things about? You can argue all that, and I don't want to get into those topics. And but But to me, it's a personal choice. I am not going to tell anyone what to do. There are people in my family that have chosen not to get vaccinated. I have no problem with that. I do not chastise them about that and say, you better get vaccinated. I'm not that. But we just had a piece where we were talking about my vaccine card.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, you would have thought I just crushed a baby penguin out.
Like with your car, right? Right on Van Dyke?
Yeah, like I threw it out there and ran it over. I mean, people got so upset.
It shouldn't be like, that's the one thing I don't like is how political like a health thing is. You know what I mean? Like that shouldn't be a political thing.
Yeah, and a couple people even said like, your medical business is, should be your business and you shouldn't talk about it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I talked about every time I've had I've talked about my anxiety. I've talked about when I've been sick
when you got surgery.
When I got surgery in the ear, I took you guys into the surgery.
But now it's a big deal because it's political.
Yeah, because it's political, and I don't want to make it political. I just want to, I've made the personal choice. A lot of my crew, not all of my crew, have made the personal choice to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And it's your choice whether you want to or not. I think if you choose to, we will get through this quicker. If you choose not to, we will go through this slower. And that's just going to be the way it's going to be.
Just science, baby.
But anyways, I digressed a little bit on that one.
No, you're good, dude. She also wanted to know what snake would be cloose to a cow retail.
Oh, yeah. So if you wanted to do like a palmetto corn,
that's
a smaller corn. It's a smaller snake. It looks very similar to a cow reticulated python, and they're really beautiful. So that may be a good option for you. Something that looks like a retic but stays a corn snake size.
Yeah.
And because there's not really much else. The only other thing, and you can punch these up really quick.
Yeah.
Magpie ball pythons. Or I mean blood pythons.
Okay. Yeah. I have seen them.
I totally was silly.
No, you're good, dude. You're
so
good.
You'll see the and you can get an idea. You can just check on the images and just click a beautiful one or whatever.
This one looks sick.
And yeah, I mean you could kind of see.
Oh, that's a fun.
That's
a keychain.
But it's they almost look like it. There's not a keychain.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of like what a magpie.
They're really pretty.
Blood looks like. Not quite a cow retic, but if you want something that's bigger than a corn snake but not as big as a retic, the magpies might be your option. They're a little bit pricey, but so are cow retics. I'm not even sure. Yeah, those are the palmetto corns.
Yeah, these are so pretty, man.
So
I love
again,
these.
you can kind of really see how the similarities between a cow retic and a palmetto corn, but obviously they stay small.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of my favorite colubrids out there, and if you get one, name it Autumn. Beautiful.
Autumn, exactly. So, but yeah, I think that'll work out for you. And again, I pray for you that your depression gets better.
Absolutely. Clistia came back to say, I bought 2 of the Fear Me shirts. Do you know when it'll be shipped? I also really enjoyed Wednesday's, I'm guessing Wednesday's video.
Wednesday's podcast, yeah.
Wednesday's podcast, yeah.
Because we're messing with her.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I think that Noah said some things too.
We came back on Thursday, baby.
Thursday, and had some fun stuff. So
we love her.
As far as shipping, I think it will be relatively soon. I think that it'll probably be sometime early this week, I think. I in all disclosure, in fairness, this is the first time I've worked with this company. But the reason I'm working with this company as opposed to the other company, which by the way, I used to work with Teespring.
Yeah.
I still work with Spring. I still have some stuff.
Is this some tea?
They were pissed at me. They were not happy that I went to this other company called Fourth Wall. Fourth Wall is actually run by Philip DeFranco.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I know that he's a YouTuber. He's worked with Fanjoy, Teespring. He's worked with all of them, and he launched a company. I'm not sure if there's all other principals, owners of the company or not, but it's his name behind it. And he's a very stand-up guy. I've met Phil. I've worked with Phil.
He's my first YouTuber I watched every day.
Well, interesting enough, when I met Phil and we did a collab together, I told him he was the first channel I ever subscribed to.
Interesting. That was my first one too.
That's crazy. Yeah, first channel I ever subscribed to was Philip DeFranco.
He's the bomb, man.
And so we had a great time, and I really respect him. And one of my managers has worked with Fourth Wall before, and they talk about the quality, the service, everything about this company is supposed to be top notch. Where I was. Not that Teespring was bad, and it still is not bad. As a matter of fact, they rebranded to Spring now instead of Teespring.
Right.
And I'll still work with Spring on some merch drops here and there. But I did have some issues with like them not getting product out quick enough, and having some issues with things like that. So
switched lanes a little bit.
So we switched lanes. I got a bunch of samples from Fourth Wall. I really love the quality. I love the quality of the print. I love the quality of everything they did. I love some of their the bells and whistles that they have on the back end of it.
Yeah.
Meaning that, I didn't even I haven't done any because I've been so busy, and I'm so sorry. But I can literally do like a cameo to people that bought from Fourth
No
Wall
way,
with me.
really?
Yeah, so I've got an app on my phone. Every
That's
person that
sick.
bought, I can send a personal message to.
Hey, thanks for joining the Army.
thanks
Yeah,
for
that's
doing it.
so sick.
But the problem
dude.
is it's hard for me. I mean, it's going to take many, many hours for me to get back to everyone. My plans are to eventually do that, just to say thanks, for what you do. So, but my understanding is I think the first stuff will be shipped out early next week.
Jerica Potterhead, she asks, can I message Jay to book a VIP for the end of May? It's her birthday, Potterhead's birthday. Now, we don't have all the stuff running for
We
VIP,
can make it
but we
happen,
can make it
though.
happen
Yeah, we
for
can make
Potterhead,
it. Yeah, we
baby.
can make it happen for you, anyways.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, we got you. No
Message
problem.
me, girl.
Yeah, and we hope that we'll have. I mean,
It's Brian. Don't even, dude.
yeah, I mean, it's just some technical things that I don't understand why we just can't quite figure some things out, and we've got someone working on it that is struggling a little bit with some of it. Great guy, and
Love him with all my heart.
Yeah, he helped us out a ton, but we haven't quite gotten.
We haven't mastered the thing enough to feel comfortable.
Comfortable selling the VIP experience yet, but for you, we got you.
And then Josh came back to say, sounds perfect, Brian. Thank you.
Cool, man. Just text me. He's got my number.
Yeah, bring the crazy brownies.
Yeah,
dude.
text me. Oh, please, no brownies.
Yeah, but everyone was dead.
I almost lost my crew to those brownies.
Dude, they were the best,
We almost had to shut the Reptarium down for a week.
Ooh, yeah, they were strong.
Yeah, so no brownies. But that being said, text me just to make sure nothing else come up. But I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
Sweet Brandy says, I got to meet Brian Cusco, Jason from JH Pythons,
Nice.
and Dov Kaufman today at NARBC Arlington. The only thing that could have made it better would have been to meet y'all. Y'all need to go to the fall one.
First off, thank you. And yeah, I saw that Arlington. I wonder how the show went. I didn't see any feedback about.
I know we were talking about that this morning.
How the show was. I saw a couple pictures, but it was like 10:30 in the morning, and I'm not even sure when it was open. It didn't look like many people were there at 10:30 in the morning. I don't know if that was taken earlier in the day before it was open. I have no idea, so I don't know what the turnout was down there. Hopefully, it was good, and hopefully, it was successful. And I'm glad that you got a chance to meet some of the people you wanted to meet. As far as us going, it's hard to say. So let me just be completely freaking honest with you guys. You like me when I'm honest, right?
Yeah.
I was planning on, and still may, but I was originally planning on going to the NARBC in Chicago, in Schaumburg in June. And first off, so my buddy Scott that runs the All Animal Expo is doing some kangaroos at his show. It's the same weekend. And so I was like, hey, Scott, I can come to your show on Saturday, and then I'll go over and spend Saturday night at the NARBC in Schaumburg, and then maybe spend the first few hours of Sunday in Schaumburg, and then head home. And that was the plan. I still may go. I don't know. But it's tough, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. There are a good number of people that will be in that room that I'd really love to punch in the face, right?
Yeah.
And these are people that take every opportunity to bash me, and so it's really difficult for me to want to even be in the room with those people. You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
And there's a lot of people in that room that will treat me like I'm the best thing in the world to my face,
So
but then
right?
bash the hell out of me behind my back. I'm not that guy. I will tell you to your face if I don't like you. I will tell you to the face if I have a problem with you. I have no problem with that. Now, I'm not a confrontational guy. I'm an honest guy, and I'm not going to treat someone nice that I don't like. And so I know by going there, I am going to run into several, maybe more than several people that if they come up to me, I'm not going to have pleasant things to say to them, because I know they have said negative things about me and tried to, there have been people that have attacked me for my mental health. There are people that have attacked me for things that are not reasonable to attack me on. Now, does it bother me? I mean, sure, of course it bothers you. Does it affect me? No, I don't care. It's their problem, not my problem. But it does make me not want to go to the NARBC in Chicago and quite frankly, any reptile show, So will I go? I don't know. Maybe, you know, there's some people there I'd like to see. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, friends like Brian Cusco I'd like to see, and Miguel from Always Evolving Pythons. My friends from Canada will not be there, which is a bummer. I'd love to see, you know, Barros and Billy and all those guys, but they aren't going to be able to come because of the quarantine. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. You know, I you know, as far as Arlington, I don't know. And I am going to plan on going down to Texas soon, though, for two reasons. Number one, I had a YouTuber / TikToker / Instagrammer that has a pretty good following, millions and millions of people following, that asked if I could come down and do collab with them.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so I think I'm going to go do that. But more importantly, Lori wants to go to the Dallas World Aquarium.
Interesting. Really?
Yeah, she wants to go to several aquariums before we really get deep into this.
Get your toes wet, no pun intended.
Yeah, she understands what it is. You know, I've been traveling to zoos and aquariums my whole life. Lori's been to some, but not nearly as many as me. So yeah. So we're gonna probably, you know, head to the Dallas World Aquarium. I hope within the next, you know, so I want to go to the Dallas World Aquarium and I want to go to Florida in the next couple months.
Yeah.
You know, what that means, I don't know. The only thing that gets difficult right now, I'm not gonna lie to you, is that we now have eggs being laid.
I know.
And so it gets really tricky. Like, I can't kind of leave without leaving someone in charge of eggs. And if something goes wrong, let's say we get this really banger clutch, you know, that might be a very, very rare clutch, and the clutch goes bad because someone pulled the clutch wrong.
Yeah.
It's not that I would be mad at them. I don't want to put my crew in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want them to feel the pressure of like, oh my gosh, if this clutch gets bad, Brian's going to think that I effed it up.
Yeah.
And ultimately they would have, if that would have been the case. And that's something I like to pull clutches.
Try to take the responsibility for it,
I
right?
like to take the responsibility. So that's the only tricky part. The next couple months is going to be full of eggs, ball pythons, colubrids, you know, and spotted pythons and all that type of stuff. And I don't know that I want to.
That is a harder one, especially with you and Lori.
Yeah. And we are definitely going, because of Lori's birthday, we're going to Florida in the middle of July.
Hit that Disney.
100%. Yeah, we're going to I'm doing a couple days at Disney. And then obviously I'm hoping you're coming down, Jay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because you got family down there and stuff. So Mama.
I'm down,
Mama
dude.
Tomsky.
Hell yeah.
And so I figure we'll do a couple days, but then we'll go do the circuit. You know, we'll go do the Florida circuit and go hit everybody. And then I think that Lori and the whole fam are going to spend 4 days in Disney. I'm going to do 2 of the 4. I'm going to do Epcot, which is going to be on Lori's birthday, and then I'm going to do Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's so badass.
And then they can do Magic Kingdom and
all the other bells and
whatever
whistles.
the other ones without me.
Damn, son.
Can we rail this in?